pretty much live, and I'm going to be playing the music. Very nice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my guest today, Francesco Crosara. Crosara.
Sada, yes. Hello to Cathy. Hello, world.
Hello. Let me just shift over a few things. There I am. Hi, Roland. Hi, Kanga. Hi, Nora. Hi, Connie. Hey. Yeah, a few guests saying hello right away. Let's see. Getting my all my stuff together. Here we go. So, yeah, Francesco, I
Yes.
forget how we actually met, um, even online. How did we meet? Did we meet through Greta Matassa or?
I don't remember, but yeah, I am very active here in the Seattle scene. So I presume we have a lot of friends in common,
Yeah, well,
including a record label in common. So,
maybe that
yeah,
was, you know, yeah,
John Bishop
yeah,
and
yeah.
the good folks at Origin. Yes.
Yes, and I do know Greta and Clipper, although it's been a long time since I went and stayed with them and had fun. But yeah,
They're fabulous.
yeah, they really are. An Earshot, I was just, looking at your Earshot concert, and Earshot's been around for a long time, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
You haven't have you been in Seattle for a super long time?
I don't know how you define super, but no, I've been here 7 years. I
Oh,
have kind of a nomadic sort of life, as I said, only 7 years here in the Pacific Northwest. Prior to that, 16 years in California, not exactly where you are, but down in Orange County.
oh,
And yeah, and prior to that, Chicago for 3 years. And my wife is also from Chicago. And I also lived in Honolulu for 8 plus. And
wow,
as the name implies, I'm originally from Italy.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it feels that after a while, I get the urge to discover new places and new environments. I don't know, but for right now, I'm very very happy up here in the Pacific Northwest. It's a great environment.
That's honestly, that's been like probably, if somebody said, "What's your bucket list?" I would say like moving around. I would love to move around in my travels. I mean, how can you help but love going somewhere new and discovering the life, and especially when you're a musician, you have friends, we
Yes,
we have the same friends in certain areas. If you said to me, "I'm going to Spain," I'd say, "Oh, I have a friend there. You should look up," or. So
yes,
it's not as scary as some people might imagine, just like, I'm going to a new place and how am I going to get along, right? Have you
right. No, absolutely.
you've experienced probably ha, it, like just getting into the scene. How do you go about getting into the scene when you move?
Ugh. Well, it certainly takes work,
Yeah.
because obviously there is no substitute to being, going out there, meeting musicians, going to jam sessions, being, let yourself be seen and heard and known. So maybe it is a lot of work that I kind of impose on myself in a way. But just like you said, it's great because it keeps on adding on as opposed to substituting. For example, I have a very solid support system back in Honolulu, back in Hawaii. And so I'm looking forward to now taking this new album, going to Hawaii and play with my buddies. And I lived there in the late 80s and 90s. So
Wow.
imagine, but just like you say, it's like going home. In
Yeah.
Chicago, I recorded with the great Von Freeman. Sadly, he is passed on, but I have great friends there. And so I'm looking forward to going there. And so, I mean, it takes work, and it isn't that I move just because I feel the urge to move. There are
Yeah.
life happens, and so there are reasons why you end up saying, you know what, enough of this. I'm ready to do something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
how that. But at this point, I really love Seattle. I don't foresee uprooting and moving yet again.
Yeah.
But you never know. You never know.
Okay. And where are you from in Italy?
I was born in Milan, but that was very brief. Basically, I was brought up in Roma, and my father was from the Vicenza area, which is close to Venice. And so my formative years were all there up to age about 20.
I see.
And at that point, I came to the States to study. And
Yeah.
of all things, I studied business. I got a degree in business administration from good old USC.
Wow.
Uh, yeah. And yeah, but that was great because, USC, I mean, that's University of Southern California for, the ones who don't know. I mean, it is first of all, excellent jazz school.
Yeah.
And, I was a business major, but I took every possible course. I was part of the jazz band under Tom Mason at the time. So that was 1981 to 84. And
Uh-huh.
the beauty is that, in that environment, we had guest artists such as Lionel Hampton, and we got to perform with him, or Woody Shaw, Freddie Hubbard. I mean, all the greats who would come and do their clinics and their master classes and concerts with a big band. And so that's how I really got to grow
Yeah.
under the direction of Dr. Mason, and it was really, really, really marvelous.
Yeah,
But I
there.
didn't stay in California. And at that point, then I moved on to Hawaii. So
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, I in those days of I mean, it still happens, but those days seem to have it a lot more that they would have guest artists like that come and I mean, that's so invaluable. When I hear of different programs that come up like that, like, are you familiar with Bruce Forman?
yes, I played with him. There is a video, two videos of mine.
Oh, cool. Well, I don't know if you were around at this time, but he had this nonprofit that he made, which I always admired. He would get pro players, pro guitar players, and then have young guitarists come, and there was no music. They just had to play, and that was the program, and it was great.
Right.
Produced incredible players. And I want to say Will Brahm was in it, who's a really great guitarist. But anyway, I admire stuff like that. I think it's so valuable to be able to see and play with the greats. I'm always trying to think of something that I could stimulate or in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, things are so different now than they were, obviously. And I don't know whether it's better or worse. It's probably a combination of both. I mean, clearly now with the whole social media thing, everything is at your fingertips, which is great.
Yeah.
But it's also a curse because basically, you still have to put the hard work. And sometimes that this whole internet, social media culture, I don't know that it instills the right values. But
Yeah.
at the time, things were tough. You really had, I mean, you had to carry a physical real book instead of having it all virtual in the iPad, which I love actually. And you had to meet people by going and see if you could meet them as opposed to send them a quick text via, Facebook or something. So it's such a different world.
Incredibly different. I mean, even
Yeah.
this show, I
Yeah.
start I started it the day that the pandemic started, and it just kind of fell out and happened, and then, but I mean, I've hung out in this way with, I think you're number 570.
That freaked me out.
Yeah, and so I've it's been it's been wonderful to meet people and to also introduce people, and yeah. So without this format, when would that happen and how would it
Yes.
happen? So
Yes.
it's good, but there are so many uh, kind of old school things that it's so important to save and to bring into
Yeah.
what we're doing so that we can, really experience like the reality, right? Actually,
Yes.
It's interesting. I had a student and online, she's
Mhm.
young and she's good. She's growing. She's good. However, she's like looking at herself while she's singing to me, looking at me over here to see, I guess, my expression, and then looking at herself. And what that does is it blocks her real expression, right? So I had her look off to the side, and immediately it was different because there was no distraction of that. And that was very interesting. And I think that, that reflects on what we're talking about. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, how to bring somebody into the reality of what we're doing, which is, a personal passion.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and plus, if you think about all of the incredible apps that are there nowadays, where if you sing out of tune, the app that is going to correct, and through I haven't really heard it, but apparently any dog can sound like I don't know, like Pavarotti or something. I mean, really? uh, anyway,
Are you an
where maybe
educator as well? Do you teach?
I used to, but now I am involved in a nonprofit which is all about education. It's called the Music Discovery Center, and it is not in Seattle, but across the water in the Kitsap County. So kind of different. But basically, I am the exiting vice president in the role, of the board of directors. And this Music Discovery Center specifically is all about education, community outreach, and then performance. And so collectively, our goal is to bring music, especially to the populations that can least afford it. And so we've done instrument drives, brought instrument to the kids, provided also teachers for the kids who cannot even do it in school.
Mhm.
And then we organized the Make Music Day on June 21st,
Oh, no
international.
kidding. This is something that I have been trying to get attached to, and I don't know, for some reason it's not user friendly for me. I don't know why, but I will want to talk to you about that because
Sure.
I want to engage in that. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, our Make Music Day is live. It's not online at all. It's actually in the city of Bremerton. And last year we had two stages on the road. We had a total of 20 bands, of
Oh,
which I guess only two did jazz. Everything else was everything else, from hip hop to folk to rock, acid. I mean, just about anything goes because it's all about music. And
yeah.
it's not pros, but it's pros and amateurs. And the amateurs are such a delight because they get on, they have their best, they have a ball. And it's really, 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 heartwarming.
Yeah.
So that's the extent right now of my involvement in education, is to bring it through this nonprofit, and therefore allowing basically young people to be able to discover music. And if they can, as I said, if they cannot afford the instrument, we find it and provide it, the tutor and everything, and then bring bring these performances out there. We also have an initiative with a local coffee shop that is also involved in a community outreach. And with them, we did a First Friday jam session. So the open mic jam session kind of thing. So it's very gratifying because that's how you can give back to the community, basically.
That's so cool. I love that. Well, like I
Yeah.
said, yeah, I found out about that organization last year, and I was trying to get involved somehow, and I just couldn't wrap my head around what was I supposed to do. And but because they do have these different cities that have,
Yes.
right? And I didn't quite see like the line into the community in LA, and or I don't know if there is, or you have to make your own, or Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk more about that because I would really
Sure,
like,
sure.
and maybe those people listening too might want to be involved too. I mean, it's all great, isn't it? It's just, it's what we want, what we know, we musicians, we know the value of that, you know.
Yes.
I wish the politicians understood that more, but I wish the politicians understood a lot more. But that
Let's not
specific.
open that can of worms.
So, yeah. So, did I see that you are an editor too? A video editor? Did I see that in your
Well, yeah, that's my passion. So, in a future video that I hope you'll play, I'll be able to demonstrate that. So, I did not make a profession out of video editing at all, but I really love getting in the I get my computer out and I have on one side Logic Pro to do all of the obviously the audio side to master it just right. Then on the other side, first I worked with Final Cut Pro, but then now I have found this thing called Camtasia, which is very user friendly. And my passion is to take videos, mostly of my own live performance, and then start editing so that then it's fast cuts and if it follows the music, it follows the beat, it follows the form. But then on top of that, I like to do picture in picture and dissolves and things that are just first of all a ton of fun, and then in the end, okay, put in the credits, post them on YouTube, and they're as good as it can be. So
cool?
why not? Yeah,
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
yeah.
By the way, I remembered I wanted to ask you if you had seen The Last Repair Shop, the movie.
No, no.
Oh,
Tell, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
it's fantastic. It's a documentary about um, in LA, I guess I don't know what department it falls under in the government, but it's where the instruments from students from high schools, etc., go to be repaired and to be
Yeah.
sent back to the schools. And um, there's not a whole lot of repair technicians, but each one had a beautiful story, really beautiful story. And then the students who received the instruments and learned with them, I mean, it's actually a tearjerker, the whole documentary. It's fantastic. It's called The Last Repair Shop.
Fantastic. I will certainly take a look.
Yeah, you'll really appreciate it, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. And we have seen exactly that tearful moments when the students receive the instrument
Yeah,
through the work that I was telling you about, because it's really marvelous. Well, when you have students who have been struggling to hold on to an instrument, maybe because
yeah,
they borrowed it from the school,
yeah,
but then they can only play so much and whatever. So here is the opportunity to have a brand new violin, a
yeah,
brand new trombone, a brand new trumpet, of course guitars, etc. And for them to say, oh my God, this is for me, I can keep this and I can actually make it mine and really become good at that. And between them, their parents, I mean, it's really heartwarming to
yeah.
see it live right in front of you. It's yeah, and I
Yeah,
hope we can do way way more of it too.
yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Very beautiful. Um, so let's see. Um, Regarding your playing, recording,
Mhm.
all of this kind of stuff. So uh, I like to start at different places with different people. So I'm just trying to
Please.
feel the the channeling. Um, well, I think I'd like to know about right like now you're playing now. I mean this video, and we'll watch a video shortly too, another video. Doesn't seem so long ago, so I'm assuming that you're playing often now
Mhm.
and perhaps
Yep.
recording,
Yep.
composing, right?
Mhm.
That was a composition, right? The
Yes.
last,
Yes.
yes. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's talk about that. You're playing now. Let's start with that. What are you working on presently?
Alrighty, so let's see. So first of all, a major milestone for me was last year when I retired officially from basically 40 years in information technology.
Oh,
You remember I mentioned to you at USC, I was a business major. Well,
yeah.
I basically made a career in business and the last 30 plus, almost 40 in information technology or IT, software and consulting, etc.
Hmm.
So music was always there. And because I come from a background of music, we can talk about that, my mom, etc. But so music was always there, very, very serious. And it shows from the videos that I've posted and published in YouTube and etc. However, I had to make ends meet with an official job, which, by the way, was influenced by music a lot, just like music has been influenced by having a business mind. And that can be another topic. But anyway, now that I'm fully retired, quote unquote, so I am now fully dedicated to doing the music bit. So for the last year, I've been, basically focusing on what makes me happy, which is not necessarily performing every night. That again goes into the realm of having to make ends meet, and therefore, okay, let's, the term the gig pig, it's kind of derogatory in a way.
Believe it or not, I've never heard that term.
Yeah,
But the idea, I know the idea, but the gig pig.
yeah, what does he pay? Where is it? And I'll take the best paying gig, and regardless of genre or whatever. No. I mean, at this point, I can afford to be basically a purist, which
Yeah,
means I will do performances that interest me. And
yeah.
I often actually I have to procure them myself. That's the best way. And what really excites me is to discover new talent. And so I often play with different, I hire different musicians of different ages, of different experiences, of different configurations. I certainly love to write music. And what you heard before was an original composition, Circular Motion. I just released a brand new album with Origin Records of 10 of my own original. And I mean, ultimately, original music, it's what makes composers happy. And I consider myself 50% composer, 50% performer. It's almost, you know, it sometimes the performer in me gets mad at the composer in me, saying, no, what you wrote is crap. Other times the composer in me says, what you're performing is not what I'm writing. So there is a certain amount of multiple personality happening there. Kind of crazy. But yeah, so it's not quantity anyway, it's quality. So I enjoy performing in certain places for certain audiences with certain musicians. And so I try, kind of picky there.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I have a nice full calendar coming up, a couple of festivals and of course venues, more for the music discovery guys. And so it's pretty good, I must say. Did I answer your question there? I tend to digress often.
You did. And you touched on your past and were you raised listening or playing classically, or what? How was your youth with music?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So my mom was a huge influence on me. So basically, the artistic path comes, from the tree that is basically came from my mother. So in the 50s, 60s, she was very, very popular in Italy as a jazz singer, vocalist. Lilian Terry was her
Wow.
name. She just passed away in June of last year at age 92. So
Oh,
she had a
sorry. Yeah, but
she had a fantastic life. But anyway, she was quite popular in Italy as a singer, vocalist, broadcaster, producer. She produced shows, radio and TV at the Rai in Italy, and she met just about every one of the greats, from Duke Ellington, Dizzy Gillespie, on and on and on, because she produced a lot of their, whenever they would be touring. And so, long story short, I certainly grew up in that environment. She always said that she kept on performing on stage up to the 5th month of pregnancy. So she said, Francesco, you have been on the stage even before you were born, which all is kind of, okay. Kind of, what does that really mean? But basically, it's true that, music was part of my infancy, just about, because she would play records of Miles Davis, obviously LPs and all, when I was barely 1 year old. But when I got to a certain age where it was time to start learning, so, by age 5, 6, I was kind of tinkling on the piano, but not quite. When it was basically, once I got 10, at that point, she asked me if I wanted to go to the conservatory. And I thought, yeah, fantastic idea, let's do it. And so I did spend 3 years at the Conservatorio di Santa Cecilia in Roma.
Okay.
And at the time, I was also very rebellious, as every kid tends to be. And so since Mom did this thing called jazz, I thought that, no, I wanted to be serious and therefore classical. There was nothing else. So I adored, and I still do, Beethoven and Chopin, Liszt, and, keep on going, Ravel, Debussy. I mean, there is so much fantastic, of course, Bach, Mozart. I mean, you keep on mentioning the great composers. And so, yeah, for 3 years, I attended conservatory. I studied formally piano. I studied harmony, composition, the whole thing. And I went on my merry way. However, what happened is that as I got close to that 3rd year of schooling at the conservatory, where there is a major exam at that point, it was clear that when it came to classical piano, I also didn't really get along with the teacher, but that's another thing. Ultimately, I failed. I got basically an F, kind of, no, you are not fit to be a pianist, classically speaking.
Yeah.
Okay. And I realized, why is that? Well, I really could not stick to the notes on the page because I tend to divert. I tend to embellish. I tend to kind of wanting to, guess what? Improvise, right?
Yeah.
Which is a no-no in classical. So that really failed miserably. On the other hand, I had my teacher in harmony, composition, solfeggio, so theory and all of that. And on that, I got, magna cum laude kind of thing. Basically, they were saying, you have an amazing conceptual approach to music, to, composing. Basically, don't let that go because, you have that gift to put together notes and to create beautiful feelings with it. And so at the end of the 3 years, I had to sit down with Mom, very kind of stern, saying, okay, what do you want to do with the rest of your school years? So piano didn't work out. Do you want to change instrument or what? Okay. And so I was obviously on one side excited, on the other side, very depressed about failing in piano. And so, what am I going to do? And so I remember at age 14, she said, you know what, I'll take you to the jazz club with me. Why not? At age 14, Italy is a little different. You don't have the 21, the crazy laws that we have in the United States. So as a 14-year-old, okay, accompanied by Mom, we went to the club, the Music Inn in Rome. And I forgot who was playing. But basically, for the first time, I really got to see, here's Mother in her environment. Obviously, all the musicians loved her, and she was quite an institution. And I got to see live jazz being performed live in front of me. The pianist, the bass, the drums, the whole thing, and then I'm pretty sure she sang as well. And I realized, this jazz, it's got something going. And look at all of the improvisation happening right in front of you. The camaraderie. I'm not saying that classical music is stuffy, but certainly I never experienced that camaraderie that was so typical of jazz. And so at that point, I was hooked. I realized, jazz is it. And so at that point, I switched gear completely. I abandoned the conservatory, and I enrolled into another conservatory, which ironically, Rome, the eternal city, well, at the time, absolutely had zero jazz courses. That was also back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So there was this conservatorio of Frosinone, an hour away from Rome, where the teacher was actually mom's pianist, and he was a PhD professor, and he taught official jazz courses, jazz combo, jazz big band, jazz composition. And so I spent another 3 years basically honing the skills, exactly doing that music, which I had obviously discovered at that point. And the beauty is that now, if I look at myself, I look back of, what has happened, I realize that my compositional and performing style is very much influenced by both the jazz idiom, African American with a typical syncopation and all of the rules of jazz, as well as classical with all of the beauty of basically that whole symphonic approach. And so I realized that, and I'm proud to actually feel that, in my playing, there is a classical component, there is a very strong jazz component, there's a strong Latin component. I love basically Spanish, Brazilian, and all South American style of music. And so in the end, it's all good. But that's how the whole thing basically started and then continued on. And then as we said a few minutes ago, I ended up in LA at USC. And that was the next push, because at that point, I really, really got to get serious. And then I shouldn't leave out the fact that my mother, bless her heart, she truly had a gift of hospitality. And the great musicians who would come to Europe to perform, she didn't treat them just in a business manner. You come, you perform, you get paid, whatever. But there was that, way that Italian hospitality, they would come home, they would have meals with us, we would do the cooking and everything. And so imagine, having Dizzy Gillespie at home, having, Chick Corea was a big, big friend of ours, and he became my all-time, I guess, mentor and inspiration. And it was amazing to be able to see these people from my perspective as human beings, just, and you could see that, wow, there was an incredible world up there. And 3 years ago, Mom wrote her memoirs. It's perfect. I think I have it here.
Wow. That's interesting.
So there you go. If you can see this, it's called Dizzy, Duke,
Wow.
Brother Ray and Friends. And there are many, many photos inside as well, etc. So in here, she talked about, this was published by the University of Illinois Press.
Okay. Dizzy
Yeah.
Duke. I'm writing that down. Yeah.
Yes, there you go, Brother Ray and Friends. It got excellent reviews and Downbeat and etc. And this is not as many books written about, Dizzy Gillespie, and let's talk about bebop, and let's talk about Charlie Parker, or Duke Ellington, and let's go into the whole secret concerts and Harlem and blah blah blah. No, this is her own very amicable, very personable memory of what it was in the 60s to hang out with them, and basically fun personal tidbits about these giants that really demystifies the image of the giant, Duke Ellington. Oh my God, and instead brings it down to the person that just enjoys the day-to-day life when they would be in Europe. So most of this is European-centric, although there are also some interviews. And I have like 50 or so actual audio interviews that she did on a reel-to-reel for her job with Rai. And so it's marvelous to hear. And the interviews were serious, by the way. It wasn't just personal fun.
Yeah.
interviews, she talked about, and she would ask sometimes very, very difficult questions, such as asking Ray Charles about racism in America, and getting down to some very, very deep conversations, not just about music, but about what is it like to be African American in the States as compared to the treatment that they would all get when they would come to Europe. That has always regarded the African American experience as truly worthy, which sometimes you don't see in the States itself. Yeah. I've ever seen the movie Around Midnight.
Yeah.
That was, that one really tells the story. Dexter Gordon as Lester Young, basically, in Paris. And I mean, that really brings that whole European side of things.
Yeah.
What happens when he goes back to New York, ends up going back into drugs and ultimately dying. I mean, anyway, now we're getting very dark here, but anyway, so I think I've digressed hugely from whatever your question was.
Well, that's okay. That's the nature of this show. We're all about digression. We just
That's going to be a new song.
Okay, let's play one of your songs, actually. Okay.
What would you like? I can give you a little. Do you want to do the artistic one or the record trailer, which I cut myself? Actually, I cut everything myself.
I want to see the abstract art. Plus, I love flamenco, so I'm going to show the flamenco one. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to put it in perspective? Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
very quickly. So what you are going to see now is again a video editing that I did in a very almost a psychedelic kind of way, because I took live performance in which we did in Seattle of my tune Preludio Flamenco, which has a clear flamenco feel. Then at the same time, I took the abstract artwork of my lovely wife, my better half, Julia Crosara, and she is a graphic designer. She is also a wonderful abstract artist. And so I took something like about 10 of her paintings, and then I threw them inside the editing table. And what you're going to see is the band as if we are inside of these paintings that are moving kinetically around us. And the whole thing is kind of magic and crazy. So that's not the way it was recorded, but that's the way that now is over there. And so you'll enjoy this feast of colors and shapes and forms. Hopefully the music doesn't suck, And so that's Preludio Flamenco, which is, by the way, in my new album as well, without the art. But there you go.
This particular song?
Yes.
Okay.
It certainly is. And is that the one? Did you take it from the email I sent you?
Yes, I did.
Okay, then I guess that's good. And it's about 7 minutes. Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I just have to put in a little word here. My brother-in-law from my first marriage is a world famous drummer, jazz, funk, Latin, everything. And he played for years with flamenco, big flamenco artists. So, flamenco is definitely a beautiful art form that I'm very interested in.
I love it. Yeah. My all-time hero is, of course, Paco de Lucia. And, of course, what Paco and Chick Corea did together. And so you can hear probably a little bit of that influence.
Yeah. Flamenco is it's a pretty interesting music. I can't remember if I've interviewed anybody speaking a lot about flamenco, but it's a pretty wild art form, and to be a musician who's playing flamenco, wow, that is super intense. You have to learn all the little parts because the flamenco singer is leading the expression. I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing,
Yeah, of course, I take it on the perspective of the jazz musician. So this is in buleria style, and it is in 12/8 for anyone who wants to count them. But other than that, it's very much of a jazz piece. So I beg forgiveness from purists of flamenco music who might say, well, this is not quite the way it should be. No.
Okay.
It's the Francesco jazz version.
Okay, we'll take that into consideration. Here you go. Oh, really nice.
Ole.
Yeah, that was
Oh, well,
nice.
that was
Nice.
energetic, energetic.
Yeah, really good. And is that your wife's art?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it doesn't move, obviously. I mean, I made all of that kind of crazy connotations and movements and dissolves, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. Good work. Very nice work. And yeah, her artwork is quite beautiful. I love it. Beautiful. The playing's great. Oh, and yeah, that was really fun. Great bass player and drummer. Can you tell us about them?
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned earlier, I really, really enjoy discovering talent. And I'm not saying discovering because they're not known, but I discover them for myself,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
So rather than sticking with the same band again and again and again, I'm not doing the Keith Jarrett approach where for 30 years you'll have that amazing band, but basically, that's it. I really, really enjoy to discover and then match the music to the talent of the player. So what you heard, this Preludio Flamenco, clearly requires a Jaco Pastorius-like electric bass that can go around those flamenco, I guess, harmonies with a lot of diminished scales and stuff. And the bass player Farko Dozumov, he is absolutely phenomenal. He comes from I want to say Azerbaijan or Uzbekistan, I think. It's one of the former Soviet bloc countries, and he is an absolute force of nature because he's got that Pastorius feel. The drummer Devon Lewis, he's a third generation drummer from Seattle, and I think that the grandparents were from New Orleans originally, but don't quote me on that. But basically, he comes from the illustrious, group of drummers,
yeah,
basically.
right.
So the feel and the energy that Divan and Farco gave for this Preludio Flamenco, I think is just perfect. And even though I love playing with Clipper Anderson and Mark Ivester, and those are my more acoustic band that you heard in the first video, it's clearly what I wrote for them was more apt for this acoustic versus the electric component. And so you can see that here I'm kind of also following the steps of my master, Chick Corea, because after all, he, for many, many decades, he had the acoustic band, the electric band, and then he also, he could do anything he wanted, obviously, and either record with the greats of the greats or discover new talent as well. And I really enjoy doing that. So in this album that I just, interesting segue, but in my brand new CD, which is called Circular Motion, rather than picking one of the trios, well, why not just having not just two, but actually three? So I ended up parsing the material into 3 buckets. One I called my acoustic trio bucket, the other one the electric trio bucket, and the last one world trio. World implying that there are more ethnic, cultural, connotations. And so as a result, there are 4 songs that are all acoustic with Clipper on acoustic bass, and just very, very, and Mark Ivesser on drums. Then 4 songs that are more electric with the electric bass with the Farco Dozomov and then Devon Lewis on drums. And I alternate between the acoustic piano as well as the synthesizer. And then last, there is the 2 tunes in this world format. One that is a Japanese song that I wrote, and the other one, Brazilian samba. And for that one, I have Osama Afifi on electric bass and Xavier Le Couturier on drums. And another thing that really tickled me about this new album, and it kind of happened, is that if you look at the age groups, they are also spanning across 3 generations. And I mean, they're not related to each other, obviously, but without getting down to, ageism, but, Mark Ivestor is in his 60s, just like me, basically. So, it has that maturity of the player that is basically at the apex at that point, knows every note is very deliberate, and it's maybe a little bit quieter because it is just so mature. Then Devon Lewis is in that middle bracket of his 40s. So basically power and just marvelous. I don't know. I mean, remember how we were in our 40s, basically. And then the last one is Xavier. He is, I think, 25 years old. So you have, again, maybe, I won't say immaturity, but it's that beginning, a lot of energy and a lot of just, pure power. And just imagine how he will be in 10, 20, or 30 years. And so I don't know whether it's so clear when you listen to the album, but for me, it was an honor to be able to celebrate basically the different stages of a musician's life, the exuberance of the youth, and then that, coming of age of being in your middle age, and then, the maturity of the later. And so there, I got all of these musicians, which obviously I would never be able to bring in on tour at the same time. So basically they are there for posterity. And then when I play, well, I have to choose, either this or that, or sometimes I mix them up. But yeah, so that's what I tried to do. I also love to play with other than just bass and drums. Again, following Chick, I've done quite a fair amount of piano and vibes duets, in deference to, Gary Burton, Chick Corea. And I also love to play with, sax players, sometimes vocalists as well. Although there is always, the mother thing, mom, she was, to me, the vocalist par excellence. And so there is always some baggage in a way, since there's always mother,
Are there videos of your mom singing? Can I see them on YouTube or hear
Oh,
it?
yeah, sure.
Oh,
There, there are stuff that we did together. There's a concert we did together in
really?
Honolulu.
Oh,
And then, but before me, there is a video of her, oh my God, in the 50s, singing My Funny Valentine in a very Hollywood-like, it's just unbelievable.
oh, yeah, I really
So,
want to see that.
yeah,
Cool.
Lilian Terry. So
Yeah.
Lilian with one L, Lilian Terry. And there is stuff in YouTube, and there is also stuff we did together.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna look at that. Um, let's see. Yeah. And do you play with guitar ever?
Yes, absolutely. I have done, let's see, duets with marvelous guitarist John Stowell
Yes, I know.
from, yeah, John from Portland. He's
Yeah.
just marvelous. And well, Bruce Forman and what happened with Bruce, he was conducting a jam session in San Francisco, Jazz at Pearls. I guess Pearls is no longer around, like many of those clubs. But I sat in, and that got recorded, and so I threw it on YouTube of us doing "Well, You Needn't" and "Someday My Prince Will Come." So that was a lot of fun.
Cool, yeah. Yeah, and of
Yeah,
course, the Chick, I guess was it his last recording? And there was a movie, a documentary about it with the Spanish influence, right?
yes,
That was
yes.
that was incredible. Actually, I went to the recording academy to see that, and Chick was there, and it was, and there was a Q&A afterwards, and it was great. It was a great documentary, great,
Yeah,
recording.
my Spanish Heart, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Kind of a remake of the original My Spanish Heart,
yeah, yeah.
with,
Really
with
great.
dancers, with a whole. Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was really nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
Chick was amazing. What I can say about him is that he had this quality of being so personable, and
yeah,
he really valued the one-on-one.
yeah,
You know, so the stardom that he achieved, very rightfully so, never made him forget that communication is the
yeah.
most important asset that one can have. And I have, from way before the internet days, I have letters that I wrote to him, and then letters that he wrote to me, and just because. I mean, and yeah. Anyway,
He
great memory.
was very personable. I knew him, and I also recorded at his studio, one of my early records,
Mad Hatter, yeah,
with his engineer Bernie.
yes. So did I. Bernie Kirsch, I
Oh,
love Bernie. Yes,
yeah, another great human being.
yes,
Yeah, yeah, and two beautiful pianos to choose from.
yes.
Let's see, there was a Steinway and a
Was it
German.
Mason Hamlin? No,
No, I don't
well,
think. I think it was uh, German. Let's see, I can't remember, but yeah, that
yeah,
was fun. It was really beautiful studio.
yeah,
Yeah, really
yeah.
great
Well,
sounding.
I have a little anecdote if you want to hear about Chick. Let's see, back in 1984. Yes, I remember the date because that's when I graduated
Yeah,
at USC. So I was my early 20s and stuff, and mom came to visit, obviously, also because she wanted to come to the graduation. So she came to visit from Italy all the way to LA. And Chick was living in LA. He was living in Los Feliz area at the time. And so they were good friends. And obviously, I was also part of the whole thing. So Chick invited us to his house with, Gail Moran was there, of course. And so, I mean, we had a chance to chat in his living room. And
yeah.
of course, what does Chick Corea have in his own living room? Two grand pianos at home. At home.
Right.
Mad Hatter Studio was another thing. But at
Yeah.
home, we had these gorgeous two. And I think one was a Mason Hamlin. And I think that was before the Yamaha endorsement days. So, okay. So he had that thing. And we talked and talked and talked, about just about anything. And then at some point, he looks at me and he says, Francesco, do you want to play? And I look at him as, well, sure. Thinking, okay, so Chick Corea is asking me to play a duet with him right now at
Yeah.
home. Obviously at that time, no, there is no iPhone that you can say, oh, let's just record this. In a way, I wish, but it's forever in my memory. And so, okay, I sat at one piano, he sat at the other, and he said, so what would you like to play? First thing came to mind is, why don't we do all blues? I figured out nice and safe. At the same time, you can really play the blues form with that 6/8. And actually, we did it kind of up tempo. And I started playing, and then he embellished in the way that only he could. And just the emotion to be able to play and listen to the call and response being played right there live by none other than Chick Corea. I only wish it could have gotten recorded, but it's probably the greatest memory that I have, bar none in terms of doing music in a very personal way, just for the love of playing the music. And just did it because, again, that's what he enjoyed doing. And
That's
so it gave me the gift of having this lifelong memory now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that.
Magic.
Beautiful. It's so nice that you have that. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I played a bunch with his son too.
Oh,
And
Thad.
yeah,
He's a drummer, right?
yes, and I knew his daughter and
Yeah.
actually sang
Liana.
on piano. Did you ever hear her play or she sounded like him?
Oh, not surprised.
Yeah, yeah. Really beautiful player. I don't know what she's doing now, actually. I've lost touch with her for a long time. Nice girl.
Yeah.
Well, I knew his mother too. Did you ever meet his mom?
Yes, Anna.
Yeah.
Anna, and then of course I met his dad, Armando Senior.
I never met his dad. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was let's see, in 2 years before, so early '80s. That he was born on June 12th, if I remember, and so there was I think it was his 40th birthday. So it was a big one. Kind of amazing. 40 years old. I mean, yeah. So they threw a big party at the house, and I got invited. So okay, and I showed up, and kind of hung out at the party, and of course, I could tell who was who because obviously I was already very, very big fan of everyone, and so it was great to see. There was Stanley, of course, there was Lenny, and then there was Wayne Shorter, and there was Jean-Luc Ponty, and then they did a little jam at the house. And I remember that Gail loved hearts. She loved everything that was heart-shaped. They had so many little heart-shaped frames, and then, I mean, that's going back from what was it, the Mad Hatter days, where there was a lot of that. You remember Return to Forever when they had a lot of floral, almost hippie-like kind of feel. But anyway, so for his 40th birthday, if I'm correct, I just hung out there, didn't do anything, didn't touch a note, but I sure got to enjoy seeing right there. There was Wayne and Stanley and Chick and just partying like normal people having a good time. And I kept myself, oh my God, this could be the Hollywood Bowl. But it's home. Chick. I
That's
still miss him.
fantastic. I remember the story of how he started on piano. They loaded a piano into their apartment in Boston, like on a crane. That's how they had to get it in. And they got it in through the window. And then that was his first piano.
Nice.
Great story.
Yeah.
Really,
When,
really
when he
visual.
passed away, it was a shock for all of us, right? Because nobody knew. And I was glued on the screen in December looking at his live streams from his home studio, right, in Clearwater, in Florida. And he did so many during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was, I don't know, healthy as can be at the age of 79, I think. And then suddenly, boom, February 8th, right, 2021, the news, he's gone. What? How? And we'll never know, and we respect the privacy.
Yeah, that was a significant loss for for many, many, many people. Kind of like Wayne Shorter too, And yeah, it just sometimes these people who do pass. Chick was really he really like you said, it wasn't just the music that he gave. He gave a lot of humanity and spiritualism and a lot of inspiration and wow, yeah, that was a real heavy loss for a lot of people, I think.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily, partake in the whole Scientology bit. That was his thing, and I'm sure that actually that had some very positive impact on how he communicated. But other than that, okay, That's fine.
I remember
We all
being
have it.
at, let's see, where was it? It was, might have been an IAJE conference. And it was a long time ago. He won, he was being honored, and, he was being honored there. And, everybody was there from the conference. I mean, thousands of people, right, would attend that conference. I think it was in New York. And I just remember the impression that I got from him speaking was that he was really in the moment. And, he
Mhm.
was, as you said before, he was just being a regular person. He wasn't, there
Yes.
was nothing else on it at all. He was just, as if you or I would get up and have an award given to us by thousands of people, we would be kind of, wow, in the
Uh,
moment,
okay.
yeah, feeling it, and his comments and stuff. It was really, well, that's why you loved him, because he was real,
Yes,
you
it
know?
was surreal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember in, let's see, 2004, we went to see him at Catalina's
Uh-huh.
in LA, and I went with my wife, Julia. And so at, let's see, was it after the gig or in the intermission? Well, whatever, we got to go backstage and chat, and Julia was with me. And so he was, okay, blah, 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 talk, talk, talk. And then he looked at her and he said, so what did you have for dinner? And Julia said, I had the chicken cacciatore. And said, yeah, that's one of the better dishes here. And she always remembers saying, okay, so Chick Corea asked me what I had for dinner. And I said, cacciatore. So that's the level of humanity,
Yeah,
versus nice to meet you. Okay, well, next,
yeah,
just,
I know.
yeah.
Really, really beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that's I think like you, I grew up in a musical environment, and as I discovered my own preferences, rather than my father's and mother's, I was drawn to this the musicians who were really personal and safe and open, warm, inviting in. That's what I was drawn to a lot. I mean, the music, of course, that was from the
Yeah.
very beginning, but the personal, I think that's maybe why I feel like jazz is a religion to me. You know,
Yeah,
right? It's just yeah. It's I could talk for hours about that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. Actually, I've been watching the Wayne Shorter documentary.
oh, beautiful. The three series, three parts. Yeah.
That that brings that quality in, doesn't it? Right from the beginning. It's
Yes,
just like, uh, yeah, it's what life is and what life is supposed to be about.
that's beautiful. And another beautiful documentary is the one on Ron Carter. You've got to see that one.
I don't think I've seen that one. I have to see that one. No, I
Gorgeous. And,
haven't seen.
we are lucky that he's with us, turned already 80, 81.
Yeah.
And he's basically the most recorded jazz bass player in history with well over 2,000 albums that he's. And I was thinking, maybe he can play in mine.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. That just brings up a point for me. I actually, last year, I produced Paul Chambers' son. His name is
Oh, okay.
Pierre Chambers, and he's a really good, innate jazz singer. It's really, really cool to, have a line of connection there. It's really amazing. I guess Paul Chambers died too young to record as many as Ron Carter, but he was the guy, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
absolutely.
yeah. Did you know Jay Clayton?
No, I
Okay.
didn't know. I know she just recently passed away. Yeah.
Yeah. I wondered if, because of your Seattle connections.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, she was another person in this realm, very real, very, you know, very born out of the music, big community. Yeah, very cool person. Really great, great human.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
Roland, was Ron Carter interviewed by John Batiste?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know either, actually, Roland.
I don't know, but that documentary I think came out on Amazon Prime,
Uh huh. Right.
and it's really gorgeous because there's a lot of retrospective. Obviously, you hear the mouse years, and then on and on and on, and Ron is such a stately. Like, to me, he's just the epitome of a stately person. Just
Those kind of things attracted me from the beginning. The stately. I always tell this story, but the first jazz gig, of professional nature that I attended, I was, I don't know how old I was, maybe 15 or something. My sister took me, and it was downtown. I grew up in Boston, and it was at
mhm.
the uh, jazz workshop, the smaller venue, and I saw the Modern Jazz Quartet. And I think I had had their record before. Maybe that's why I went to that concert. And I was so moved by their stateliness. You know,
Yes,
they were
yes,
dressed well. They carried themselves well. They loved each other, respected the audience. The music was quality. I mean, I was sold. I was
absolutely.
really sold
Yeah,
after that one.
sure. And I would venture to say that the MJQ music has a strong classical feel because I
Mm,
think John Lewis was very much classically
yeah,
trained.
yeah,
So tunes like Django, have a very classical overall approach.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was so beautiful.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
let's see. Roland, he said he saw a documentary where John Batiste interviews Ron Carter, unless
Okay.
unless he's mixing things up in his feeble mind. Well, Roland, I can't actually answer that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
Well, talk about John Batiste. Of course, there is this current documentary about him, right? American Symphony, I think
yeah,
it's called.
yes,
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
good
Very
documentary.
powerful.
Very powerful. Yeah, yeah. The only thing
Absolutely.
that disappointed me after that was seeing how expensive the tickets are to see him. And
Mm,
that documentary made it so open and real and inviting. And then the tickets are unbelievably expensive. So I was kind of disappointed after that
sure.
documentary. I,
That's capitalism in action, I guess, right?
yeah,
You get to
yeah,
a certain level. Oh, well,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
That's
how do you think, especially coming from a business background, what do you
mhm.
think about music business these days? Jazz music business. What do you think about it? Are you
I don't know.
like, for instance, selling CDs or getting money for, streaming or, that kind of thing?
Uh, well, on a financial point of view, it's almost a lost cause. It feels like it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there is that whole debacle about how Spotify doesn't pay anything to anyone except the top, literally one or two or three people that can stream millions and millions and millions of streams. And so I have no illusion that my work is going to yield any financial return.
Yeah.
So, for one thing, we keep on hearing that CDs are dead. Okay, I get that. At the same time, though, you have to produce a CD in order to then make sure the CD gets to the radio stations, gets to the reviewers, etc., etc. And so I end up basically having to produce at least 500 CDs that then are sent to the radio through the radio promoter and to the reviewers through a publicist. So that's already, it's a sunk cost right there. And then, of course, with the remaining CDs, I can try to sell them, and which I do, the Origin Records is going to do it through their own distribution. I do it through Bandcamp and, of course, live playing. But ultimately, that I'm not going to see the return on the investment there. And then lastly, all of the different streaming channels, whether it's Amazon, Apple. Listen to me, I sound like a commercial for everyone. But, when you make 0.0001 penny or whatever, $0.001 per stream, at the end of a 6-month period, you're lucky to get a check for $5. I mean, I don't know. I guess things were, I don't know, in the good old days, whatever that means, things were, the barriers to entry were much bigger because only a few artists were picked by record labels who were all powerful. Once they picked you, they would then, in my opinion, they would do a great job in creating these stars. Nowadays, the barriers to entry are demolished. In other words, anyone can produce a CD, anyone can be a musician, and there are a lot of excellent ones out there. As a result, though, there is a glut of talent. The record labels have lost their power, which is good and bad, I guess. And record labels actually force the artists now to bear all of the expenses for production and for promotion. So, wow. In the end, this whole recording business, I see it with a business mind. To me, is basically it's promotion and marketing. So it's a cost that has to be borne if I want to get to the next level, with no illusion that there's going to be a return on that particular investment. The only return, I guess, is going to be hopefully long-term. The more of these I do, and the more are going to create a buzz to some degree. And if there is a buzz, then people will know about my music, and then I'll have a chance to go play. So it's a long, long, arduous path. And maybe that's why I'm glad I've been a businessman all my life.
Yeah.
Because I never had to be the gig pig that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have nothing against gig pigs. When I graduated from USC, I saw some of my best friends who were music majors. Great, and obviously they made a career in music. And for them, it was tough to be able to make ends meet, to ultimately get enough money for a down payment so they could buy a house, or for health insurance. Well, I better get a teaching gig at a college or something. So a lot of those things that make life really, really tough for the sake of the love of music. And then if you start as a purist, as a jazz student, who then realizes that, well, in order to survive, I better try to do as many weddings as I can, corporate gigs, and ultimately follow the dollar, then where does that love for the jazz, for music go? Either it becomes a very, very secondary thing that you can do during jam sessions or very few gigs, or it just dies. And I've seen basically, fellow musicians who decided to just, okay, I'll do top 40, I'll do whatever I have to do because I have to live and make a living. And for me, not to say that my choice was better or worse, but I ended up saying, when I do music, it's going to be what I love to do. I realize I cannot make a living. Therefore, okay, I'm going to be in business, in IT, which has been very rewarding, has been very intellectually stimulating. I've been actually using a lot of my own improvisational creativity in business. But as a result, I couldn't make it a career. Yeah. I could not just, live off the music. But now I only say that, okay, now that I'm retired, right, now I can afford to starve as a musician.
Okay. Yeah, cool. It's art. It's art,
It's art, yes.
Let's see. Okay, Roland is backing his feeble mind up. He said, I knew I wasn't crazy. For 6 decades and counting, three-time Grammy winner and Detroiter Ron Carter has been called the most original, prolific, and influential bass player ever. Many jazz
Yes.
aficionados consider him the undisputed GOAT, greatest of all time. Upright acoustic bass. According to Guinness World Records, Carter is the world's most recorded bass players, having appeared
Yes.
in more than 2,200 studio recordings in his career. PBS recently aired an exhilarating documentary on the jazz icon called Carter Finding the Right Notes.
Right.
The
That's the one.
the 120-minute documentary, which took 6 years to complete, wow, chronicles the life, music, and legacy of Carter, often related to as the gentleman behind the bass. Pianist and composer John Batiste interviewed him on a wide range of topics, including his philosophy for maintaining the relentless drive to reach the pinnacle of recording and performing. Yeah.
He is marvelous. Yeah. If I had to pick three, really influential bass players from the Miles Davis years and all, I would definitely pick Ron Carter, not necessarily in that order. Ron Carter, Ray Brown, and Eddie Gomez. Well, of course, there's plenty more, but those are, of course, Eddie is more connected to Bill Evans, and
Well,
but
Paul
Ron,
actually,
Paul Chambers not bad.
he was the guy for a lot of people in that whole period of time, you know.
True.
I mean, the real reason I know that is because of Pierre, but, you know, but anyway, yeah, my friend Mark says here, I think I know the answer to this, but he said, did you think about marketing your music as an educational tool, selling the music with a book to teach students how to play jazz?
No, I haven't thought about that specifically. Hmm. I'll I'll give it kind of a thought. Sure.
Go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, since my music is all original, I can certainly take an angle about what does it take to write songs. Also, each song is quite different. There is the flamenco component. There is, I mentioned, a Japanese song that I put in. There is a straight ahead. There is a Middle Eastern. Then there is a fusion piece. So basically, I cover quite a bit. And the reason why I called it circular motion is because it's this circular. So it goes into the circle of my own life as a composer, where I took some compositions that were 40 years old, so from my early 20s, but I didn't just perform them verbatim as I wrote them then, because it was a little too, I don't know, immature in my opinion. I took them and I rearranged them, kind of made them a little bit more contemporary, if you will. And then now all of them have this circular overall representation of who I am. So I could, put an educational spin on it in terms of specifically composing music, jazz music, and what goes into it, and what are the different elements that you have to consider. And well, great suggestion. Thank you, Mark. Right?
Yeah, Mark. Yeah. Okay,
I need a
so
publisher for that.
there you go, Mark. I was thinking I do want to hear the other song that you gave me, but do you mind if I go look for you and your mom? I was kind of fascinated with that.
Sure. Okay, so if you open up my YouTube, so
Okay.
actually, this is a great plug for the world. Hi there. So if you like to see my 86 videos, I believe, not that I'm counting, I might be wrong, but anyway, it's well over 80 in my own channel in YouTube. It's called, of course, Francesco Crosara. And there you go. So from there, you can see a whole bunch of stuff. You can see Bruce Forman, the
Cool.
one
Oh,
called Various Artists.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you want mom, well, okay, well, you see there trio, quartet, art music. That's all the stuff that I did with Julia with her art.
Okay.
Yeah, you see there. So the
Yep.
colorful component.
All
Then
of
the discography. Discography has all of my albums. The lady in the middle is mom right there. But
right.
don't click on the discography because that's just audio.
Okay.
Um, I'm going to take you. Okay, you would have to go back up. Yeah, let's go back up. So with various artists. So you need to expand the various artists. So not play all, but just click on Francesco
This
Crosara
last
with.
one with the Lover Man.
There are six of them, and
Oh,
so just
I.
if you open that section by clicking on the
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Play.
well, play all is going to start doing it all.
Oh,
There. You want to do oh well, you see, she also talks story. You see there number 12, 13, 14, 15.
uh-huh.
They are pretty long because it was basically storytelling followed by the actual song.
Well, we'll watch some of it and then I'll kind of fade out if that's okay with you. But so she's speaking before and then she gets into singing. Is that what happens?
Yeah, yes, that's right. That's right. So, what would you like?
I don't know. Prelude to a Kiss. Oh, Star-Crossed Lovers. Whatever. Loverman.
Uh, I'll let you pick.
Okay, I'll just pick Prelude to a
There
Kiss.
is one ballad that he wrote, which I have always wanted to sing, but
Okay, this is about Duke Ellington, right? He
always
wrote.
Okay,
broken the
I'll
internet
skip through this because
with his
I can come back and listen to the stories, I think.
If you hear a song in bloom, like a flower crying for the dew, that was my heart serenading you, a prelude to a kiss. If you hear a song that grows from my tender sentimental rose, that was my heart trying to compose a prelude to a kiss. Though it's just a simple melody, nothing fancy, nothing much. We could turn it to a symphony, a sure tune with a good swing touch. Oh, hear my song gently cry for
Oh, this is great. Wow, to hear you young like that. And your mom, great singer, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, that was in 1991 in Honolulu. You can see she had a lei. It was marvelous.
Oh, and then
Ah,
I wanted to play some of this. Now, this is a trailer. Should I just play the whole thing or should I move ahead?
well, it would be good the whole thing, because it's the trailer of the CD where you get to hear all 10 songs super fast. Well, no, I shouldn't say super fast. Little bits of the 10 songs in a way that, I did the editing, obviously myself, having fun.
Yeah.
If you
A
feel
little
like
bit of this? A little bit of this? Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. You know, Osama used to live here and I used to work with him.
Yes, yes.
It's been a long time since I saw him. I barely recognized him. But
Yeah.
you never forget a name like that, right?
Osama Fifi. Yes. Yes. You know, we were born the same day, September 13th. So
Ah,
we're both Virgo boys. And, you know, we always say happy birthday on the same day. Just sweet.
that's
Wonderful, wonderful cat.
yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Um, well, we're winding down here. It's towards the end
Okay.
here. Thanks for being, giving me 2 hours of your time. It's very,
Thank you. This is such a great opportunity also to meet you. Really, really, really happy.
yeah, yeah. And, we never know what's going to happen in the future, do we?
Nope.
We might be in the same place at the same time, on the same stage, playing together. Who knows?
Yes,
It could happen.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it's been really interesting. I'm gonna try and get your mom's book, and I'm gonna go see that Ron Carter documentary because I haven't done that. I'm gonna look up the Music Discovery Center and maybe talk to
Sure.
you about some ideas on. Like I said, I'm pretty good about starting things. That's one of my highlight points. Creating venues, series, etc., and getting people involved. But I just couldn't quite figure out how to get into it. So I'll talk to you about that. Um, Make Music Day is what I was talking about. But
Yes, make music day.
yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for being here, and
Thank you for inviting me.
it was a real pleasure to hear your music, learn all about you, learn about your mom, talk about Chick. That was really good too. I love talking about Chick.
Yes, yes. Oh, let me show you this photo here. And this is the other. Okay, so here you can recognize kind of me as
That's
a little. That's mom and my grandma.
oh,
Let's see if you can tell the guy in the middle.
I think it's Dizzy.
Yes,
Wow,
that's Dizzy.
what a cool photo.
Yeah, he was there too at my graduation, so to speak. He didn't come to the graduation, but we went to see him in LA at Marla's Memory Day,
Oh, wow.
where he was playing. That was great.
Wow, those
And
are Dizzy played at Marla's. Wow. Amazing.
oh yeah, all over the place.
Yeah, but Marla's was it was an interesting club, you know. But
Yeah,
but yeah, Dizzy played there. Wow. I mean,
yeah. I have a lot of stories about Dizzy, but let's
yeah,
next up.
yeah. Yeah, it was yeah, Marla's Memory Lane for those of you who have not been in LA that long or for those of you outside of LA, that was a great club run by Marla Gibbs, who became an actress. She became the actress on Moving On Up to the East Side. What was that show? That TV show? It was this. Oh, it was like a popular,
Mhm.
uh, you know, ongoing series. That was the theme song. Moving on up to the East Side. Anyway, she played the maid in this. Anyway, but Marla Gibbs, who's still alive, I believe, her daughter's an actress. Um, she owned Marla's Memory Lane, and it was a really hip club on the other side of town. It was great.
Mhm.
Yeah, along with the Parisian Room was great. You know, those were the
Oh, I saw Max, Uncle Max, as he used to call me, Max
really
Roach, at the Parisian Room. Yeah,
that was a cool room. I saw
yeah.
Carmen McRae boot a piano player off the chair there.
Uh, Yikes.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks so much for coming. I'll just tell people that the next one I've been I was sliding in and out of doing these, and now I'm back in a little bit, like once a week. So next Monday, this is it's not jazz. It's for those of you who are old enough to remember Leif Garrett. He was a heartthrob singer when he was like a late teenager. This was a long time ago. And he went on to sing and act. And anyway, I recently met him, and he and I just got along great, like two peas in a pod. So he's coming over. We're going to do it actually from here, which is kind of rare, but and so we're going to do that next Monday, March 4th. So it should be really fun. I hope we can keep it clean because we have similar strange humors. Anyway, it'll be fun. But thanks again, and have a great
Thank you
day.
so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, we'll keep in touch.
A great, great week. Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.